So I just packed up um, my belongings and I'm off to the library to upload uh, my videos. And I was thinking about the scripture that says how good and pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity. You know, uh, and I'm gonna try to find the actual full length scripture reference for you. But God bestows his blessing when brethren dwell together in unity. And so is this one of the major reasons why the disciples in the first century dwelled together, and also communities like the Essenes and Qumran and things of that nature? Is that why that type of living was sought after, not only for probably protection and what have you, but how good and pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity? And that could be, of course, husband and wife dwelling together in unity, and there's a blessing upon that house. Kids get to grow up in a house of peace and of love, and the good things that come along with children being able to see a nurturing and loving home. And that experience is completely different from a child experiencing abusive and neglectful homes, or things of that nature. But the dwelling together in unity of communities, and I can understand how uh, the desire of certain groups of people to say, you know what, this community that I'm living in, probably it doesn't fit, my style of living, my belief systems, fulfill my needs. Is sometimes a better a way of talking about it or discussing it. This community doesn't fill my needs, and I think when you look at modern societies, Western culture, things of that nature, um, the cry of countless thousands, hundreds and thousands of people is, I'm alone, I'm hurting. You know what I mean? And the way our culture is set up, it is set up for isolation, varying schedules, preoccupation with the internet or media, or social media and things of that nature. Who could really say? But the desire for genuine face to face communion, to sit down with somebody and say, hey man, I'm gonna have a little get together at 12 o'clock, such and such a time, let's get together, talk, but there are people and environments that are unhealthy, even in social interactions. Some social interactions and groups are destructive and unhealthy for us to be in, and we need to be cognizant of, is this building me up, this environment that I am, or is it tearing me down? And I'm about to stop here because I got kids screaming and playing basketball here, but and it's interrupting my video content. But the point of all of that I wanted to say is, are Christians living in a community that is separated from even their? I mean, if you think about your church brethren in the church, right? Uh, they're scattered all over your city. They're not. If you need to jump in the morning, you know what I mean? They're nowhere to be found. You know what I mean? You have to rely on neighbors, people who are close by. Proximity matters. You know what I mean? Closeness matters to human beings and to what we need to be healthy. We need to be close to people, not far, not distant. Not emotionally distant, not physically distant. We need closeness and proximity. You know what I mean? So I just, how good and pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity, in love, in uh, just being there. Isn't that love? When somebody needs you to be there, to be present for them. In communal living, it if it is a community of brethren dwelling together in unity, the Lord's blessing is upon that place. And as somebody who's single and isolated and understands the spiritual ramifications for being alone and things of that nature, get a few bunch of guys together, you know what I mean, buy a farm, buy a piece of land, and if you could dwell together in unity, that's important, because without unity, the blessing of dwelling together, it will not be fully realized. When you dwell together in peace, in love, and in unity, and in service to God, it's like oil running down Aaron's beard. It's like where the Lord bestows his blessing. And that's what you want. You want God's presence when brethren dwell together in unity. Not an adversarial spirit between you, a spirit of love and unity. Whether this is in your house, on the street, in the in your hood, in your city, in your government, like unity. There's a blessing upon that. You look at nations like Ukraine. Where part of it was heavenly Russian language speaking, maybe culturally as well, and then another part was, I'm not really how to describe that population, more Aryan, and because they could not dwell together in unity, how many lives have been lost as a result of that? How much destruction, cities, children, communities ravaged and destroyed through disunity. You think of America. In America, all the disunity in this place, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. I can't even see how much time I got left here. I'm spinning around. That might be a clue for me to stop and continue in 8 seconds. Okay. All right. Dwell together in unity. The disciples did.